Hey everybody, I'm Wyatt, and this is Cinema Trip Reviews, The Hitcher. So today we're going to be talking about a little movie from 1986 called The Hitcher. This is directed by Robert Harmon and starring the legendary Rutger Hauer, Blade Runner, Hobo with a Shotgun. He's been in a ton of movies. He was in like a couple of the newer Christopher Nolan Batman movies. But Rutger Hauer, man, he's a legendary actor. But this movie itself is starring Rutger Hauer, C. Thomas Howell, and Jennifer Jason Leigh in one of her first roles. A lot of you may know this movie because of the remake that came out, I believe, in 2007. I believe Sean Bean was the actual killer in that movie. It's very similar to this movie in some ways, but they kind of went a more horror route with it, going with the real grittier reboots that were happening in the early and mid 2000s. Now this movie, I've never seen this movie before, and I'm going to tell you, I had a great time watching this movie. This movie was so entertaining the whole way throughout. Rutger Hauer is such a madman in this movie. Basic plot: C. Thomas Howell plays Jim Halsey, who works for this company in Chicago, and he has to pretty much transport this car. He has to deliver it from Chicago all the way to San Diego, I'm pretty sure. He's driving across the desert, and that's where the movie starts. He picks up with him driving at night through this desert. And the first scene of this movie is probably one of the best scenes in the movie, to be honest. And the tension in it is phenomenal. Him picking up Rutger Hauer, automatically, I mean, it's a movie called The Hitcher, but automatically, something's off with this guy. And then, a little bit down the road, they pass just an abandoned car, with the doors open, and, the kid thinks he sees something off about it, and Rutger Hauer is such a madman. He even tells him,
"Say, I want to die."
Say what?
At that point, you're like, what do you have to do? What are you gonna do? I don't know what I would do in that position. And that really ups the ante. I mean, you don't really see tension like this very often. And I mean, they do it so damn well. Just the claustrophobia of just in this car, just these two guys, and this guy, he has a knife to you and he's gonna kill you. What are you gonna do? Luckily, whenever he stopped, he didn't close his door the whole way. He was able to kick him out. And that really jump starts the movie from there at that point. Because the movie is just this kid going from place to place, and Rutger Hauer just setting him up, either to get caught by the cops or, just messing with him in general. He's just fucking with him the whole movie. And I mean, even after that, initially, he thinks he's free. He's going to, he keeps driving down the road. He thinks he's good after that. And then he runs across like 80s station wagons, like you see in like Vacation. He sees, he's making faces and playing with the kids that are in the back seat. And all of a sudden, Rutger Hauer just pops up with teddy bear. Yeah, man. And it's not going to be good for that family. But throughout this whole movie, Rutger Hauer is just a madman. And even when he's not saying stuff, he's conveying emotions just, with his facial expressions. He's that good. He's that great of an actor. And he's just following around in this big old truck the whole rest of the movie. It does go to a decent, a weird action place at one point in the movie that I don't remember from the remake. And that's just whenever the kid gets, framed for the murder of the family. He goes to jail. He's trying to explain it's this stranger that's just out there hitchhiking. He falls asleep in his cell when he wakes up, and everybody in the police station's dead. Immediately my thought was just go back, just stay in your cell. They're gonna come in, they're like, you didn't do anything wrong, you're just chilling your cell. In this case, no, he just decides a piece, run away from the cops. And it seems like every decision in this movie, and I understand it's a movie, but this kid just makes a terrible decision, like time after time again throughout this whole movie. Like, you're so dumb, what are you doing? Where it really slows down for me, I mean, I was entertained throughout this whole movie, but the part that really just didn't do it for me was just this long extended chase between, C. Thomas Howell's character, He's riding with Jennifer Jason Leigh in this cop car, and they're just pretty much running away from the police. Not as comedic as the Blues Brothers, but kind of similar, if you get my drift. You know, these just cops just driving after him down this just straight desert highway, just demolishing these cop cars. They're shooting at him. His car's falling apart. Car chases don't really do it for me in movies, especially ones that there are some stunts in it, but really it's just them shooting at each other for an extended period of time. The cars crash, and then they send a helicopter after them. So it just keeps upping the ante every single time. And then that's whenever the stranger kind of disappears from the movie in that point a little bit, you know, whenever he's dealing with the cops. He's running away from the cops. He's having the shootout with the cops. And then that's when he starts coming into play when that, you know, he takes the helicopter down. It really kind of spirals out of there because now what are they going to do? They're just on their own, you know, Jennifer Jason Leigh and C. Thomas Howell. And that's what leads them to going to the motel, staying in the motel. He comes in, you know, pretty much kidnaps her. And that's where is the famous scene, you know, from this movie. And of course, the remake, a lot of people know if they've seen it, is wherever they tie that person up in between the two tractor trailers. And I really wish they would have showed a little bit more here, because this movie, it really doesn't show you too much when it comes to the gore or killing or anything. There's really no killing on screen at all, other than maybe the last bit of the movie, which we'll get to. You see dead bodies and stuff, but you don't actually see the act of killing until later in the movie itself, towards the very end. I think they should have incorporated that a little bit, but I understand. I mean, it was 1986. It was a low budget. I understand why they didn't do it, but I think it would have fit a lot better here if they would have had, you know, just some blood splatter on the ground or something. Because pretty much they kind of catch them dead to rights. You know, they finally, whenever he, you know, C. Thomas Howell discovers Jennifer Jason Leigh is gone. He was in the shower. He goes out looking for her. The cops find him. The cops already know now that, you know, this kid didn't do any of this. It was all on this other guy. He has her tied between two tractor trailers, and he has his foot on the gas, you know, with a clutch. And he lets off that clutch. It's going to split her in half. And they send the kid in there to kind of try to talk him out of it. Try to, you know, it seems like there's a connection between them. He's, you know, the hitchhiker's been after him this whole movie. So they send him up there to try to talk him out of it. Of course, it doesn't work. And, you know, of course, Jennifer Jason Leigh dies. You don't see it at all, but you know she does. And then they arrest him. I kind of glossed over it, but I think the best scene in this movie to me is whenever C. Thomas Howell's character escapes from the police after the police station, and he's on the run, and he just runs into this little diner, and he's sitting there like with his head in his hands, and all of a sudden someone starts walking over, and you know it's going to be him, and they have this great conversation just sitting in this diner, in this booth at this diner, and he just asks, why are you doing this? And then he like licks these pennies and puts them in his eyes. A lot of people maybe have seen Boondock Saints, and a lot of, you know, some history behind doing that, you know, putting pennies on the eyes of the dead. But I feel like that whole scene with him sitting down and talking to the kid at the diner was fantastic. And yeah, after he gets arrested, they bring him in. They don't know who he is. They can't find any identity on him. They can't find any, you know, birth certificates. He has no jobs or anything like that. He tells him his name is John Ryder, but the kid wants to speak to him, and then he goes in and he shakes his hand, and then he spits in his face. And then they get him out of there, but the sheriff's giving him a drive home or wherever he wants to go, and they're moving John Ryder, Rutger Hauer's character, and, you know, they're transporting him in a police van. And this was, you know, one of the final dumb decisions that the kid made. He pulls the sheriff's gun on him, and a lot of people, I didn't mention this before, but the sheriff is actually played by Jeffrey Demon. He was actually, I know him from The Walking Dead. You know, he was in the first couple seasons of The Walking Dead there, but he pulls the gun on the sheriff, and he makes him turn around, and he said, he's going to get away. You're never going to catch him. So he makes sheriff get out, and he, you know, chases down that bus, makes sure that he's dead. And by the time he gets to the bus, Rutger Hauer already killed everybody. He's already free. Leads up to the penultimate scene there is one of the other best scenes in the movie, man. I would say, like, the first scene where he meets Rutger Hauer, he picks him up, the diner scene where they're sitting in the booth, and then this final scene where Rutger Hauer is just trying to get him to kill him. And Rutger Hauer has this police shotgun. He's just shooting at this truck. You know, he hits Rutger Hauer, he gets his shotgun, and then he finally, you know, shoots him a couple times with the shotgun and take him out. And then the movie just kind of ends. It doesn't really go anywhere from there. But man, this movie, I can't recommend this movie enough, to be honest. I had such a great time watching this. This is kind of such a diamond in the rough. I remember watching this, the remake, when it first came out, the only time I've seen it. And my dad, he's the one that told me about the original at that point, and he used to watch it. And I don't know why I just never made the time to, you know, out of my, you know, just to watch the movie. I don't know why I didn't make the time to watch this movie, because I'm kind of regretting now that I should have watched it earlier. It's a very good movie. I would say I would recommend this one, but this is actually a very entertaining movie from start to finish. I would say the only little drawn out part was just the little cop chase where they're shooting at him and, you know, he's trying to get away. But other than that, you know, it's just an intense thrill ride, because you never know where, you know, John Ryder, the stranger, is going to pop up. You know, he's just kind of setting these traps and setting these pieces for him and trying to set this kid up, and this kid didn't do nothing other than just pick up a hitchhiker. You know, all this story could have been stopped just by, you know, not picking up a hitchhiker. He could have made it just San Diego scot-free. You know, he could have got the money and all that. Nope. You get arrested, framed for murder, you pull guns on cops, you end up killing a dude at the end of the movie. Like, you all because you picked up this hitchhiker. It's crazy. Even just watching that beginning scene alone, if you're not sold on the movie, watch that first, you know, first core of that movie there, until he gets rid of John Ryder the first time, because that'll probably suck you in at that point, just because of how tense. And, you know, I can't describe it enough. That moment where he picks him up until, you know, he kicks him out for that first time, it is so tense. But overall, out of a 10, I would probably give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. I wouldn't say it's amazing or super great, or, you know, no movie is a masterpiece or completely perfect. But this movie kept me entertained throughout. There really wasn't too many bad parts about it to me. The only slow part was the cop chase. But Rutger Hauer, man, what an underrated actor. He should have been in a lot more stuff. But yeah, that's where I'm going to let off with this short little review. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out all the content across the channel. Look out for some more previews and reviews here soon. And we'll talk to everybody later.